What if the fatigue you feel every single day is not about age at all? What if it's about signals? Signals that your body evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to receive every single morning. Signals that the modern world has quietly removed one by one without you even noticing. Think about what a human body experienced every day for most of history. Uneven ground underfoot, cool morning air on bare skin, the need to squat, carry, climb, balance, and hang as part of ordinary life. Eyes that scanned long distances across open terrain. Jaws that chewed real, tough food. Lungs that breathed through the nose because survival depended on it. Every single one of those experiences sent a signal into the body, a signal that said, you are alive, you are needed, you are strong, keep producing energy, keep building tissue, keep maintaining strength. Modern life has replaced almost all of those signals with chairs, screens, processed food, heated indoor air, and surfaces so flat and predictable that your nervous system barely has to work at all. And when those ancient signals disappear, something quietly shuts down. Not all at once. Gradually, stiffness appears, energy drops, strength fades, and most people accept it as the inevitable price of getting older. But it is not inevitable. It is reversible, because your body is not broken. It's just waiting for the right signals to come back. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 20 ancient strength and energy rituals that send exactly those signals. Some of them take 30 seconds, some take 5 minutes. None of them require a gym, a prescription, or anything you don't already have access to. But done consistently every morning, they begin to restore something that most people over 50 have quietly stopped expecting. Genuine vitality. Stay with me, because number 8 on this list is something almost nobody thinks to do, and it directly reactivates the spinal stabilizers that are responsible for your posture, your power, and your pain levels. And number 20 brings together 5 of the most important signals on this list into a single daily stack that works as a complete system. Let's get into it. The movement your brain forgot. Number 1, the reverse walking ritual. Start here. Every morning, find a clear safe space, your hallway, your driveway, your garden path, and walk backwards slowly for 5 minutes. That's the entire practice. It sounds too simple to matter. It isn't. Forward walking is one of the most automatic things your nervous system does. You've done it so many times that your brain handles it almost entirely on autopilot. Very little active neural processing is required. Your muscles fire in a pattern they've run 1,000 times before, and your brain barely has to participate. Backward walking changes everything. Your brain cannot rely on stored pattern memory when you move in reverse. It has to actively process where your feet are, how your balance is shifting, what your knees are doing with every single step. Neglected neural pathways that haven't fired in years suddenly light back up. Your cerebellum, the part of your brain responsible for coordination and balance, engages at a level it almost never reaches during ordinary daily movement. At the same time, backward walking loads your quadriceps in an eccentric pattern that forward walking never produces. This is the exact loading pattern that keeps knee joints healthy, resilient, and pain-free. Research on reverse walking has shown improvements in knee pain, balance, and lower back mechanics in people who practice it regularly. 5 minutes every morning, your brain wakes up, your knees get stronger, your nervous system remembers how to work, and you've done something genuinely remarkable before most people have finished their first cup of coffee. Saihi Ancient, Airway Secret. Number 2, tongue-to-roof breathing. Ancient martial artists across cultures, from Chinese Kung Fu lineages to Japanese Budo traditions, shared a practice that modern practitioners often dismiss as ceremonial. They kept the tongue pressed lightly to the roof of the mouth during training, during meditation, and often during rest. It turns out they understood something that modern physiology has now confirmed. When your tongue rests on the palate just behind your front teeth, it subtly changes the geometry of your airway. The jaw settles into a more forward position. The throat opens slightly. The nasal passage becomes the natural primary airway, and breathing through the nose becomes easier and more automatic. And nasal breathing is not just different from mouth breathing in degree, it's different in kind. Every breath through the nose passes through the sinuses, where your body produces nitric oxide as a natural byproduct of sinus function. That nitric oxide travels into the lungs with every inhale and enters the bloodstream, where it signals blood vessels to relax and dilate. More oxygen reaches your tissues with less cardiovascular effort. Energy production becomes more efficient at the cellular level. The practice is simply this: press your tongue gently to the palate and breathe through your nose. Do it while you do anything else on this list. Do it while you walk, while you sit, while you prepare your morning. The position costs nothing and requires no time, but over weeks, it begins to retrain your default breathing pattern in a way that changes your energy levels, your cardiovascular efficiency, and your stress response throughout the entire day. What most people over 50 completely ignore Number 3. Tendon loading holds. Here is something almost nobody in the fitness world tells people over 50. Muscle and tendon are not the same tissue. They do not respond to the same training stimulus. And when you train muscle while ignoring tendon, you build a system that is fundamentally incomplete in ways that become very obvious as you age. Tendons, the dense connective tissue that anchors muscle to bone, require sustained isometric loading to stimulate adaptation, not repetitions, not sets, holds, long, steady, sustained holds where the tissue is placed under tension and kept there for 30 to 45 seconds. This specific stimulus triggers collagen synthesis in the tendon, making it thicker, stronger, and more resilient to the loads of daily life. The calf tendon and the quad tendon are the two most critical for people over 50. For the calf, stand on the edge of a step or a raised surface and hold a raised position on your toes for 45 seconds. For the quad, sit at the edge of a chair and extend one leg until it's straight, holding the contraction for 45 seconds. No bouncing, no reps, just sustained, steady tension. Done daily, these holds produce changes in tendon structure that reduce injury risk, improve force transmission from muscle to bone, and restore a quality of physical resilience that most people assume they've simply lost to time. They haven't lost it. They just stopped giving their tendons the specific signal they need to maintain it. The cortisol connection. Number 4, morning jaw relaxation. Reset. Your jaw is one of the most powerful muscles in your body relative to its size. And for most adults, it is chronically overworked without them knowing it. Stress, anxiety, poor sleep, and unconscious daytime clenching mean the masseter and surrounding jaw muscles are under near constant tension in most modern adults. That tension is not isolated. The jaw connects directly through fascial and muscular chains to the muscles of the neck, the base of the skull, and the upper shoulders. Chronic jaw tension means chronic neck stiffness, and chronic neck stiffness activates a low-level stress response in your nervous system that keeps cortisol slightly elevated throughout the day. Cortisol suppresses energy. It interferes with recovery. It disrupts sleep quality. And elevated cortisol in the morning, when it should be coming down after its natural early peak, sets the hormonal tone for your entire day in a direction that works against vitality. The reset is this: sit quietly and let your jaw hang completely open. No clenching, no holding, just letting gravity take it. Then very slowly open and close the jaw 5 times while breathing deeply through the nose on each movement. Feel where the tension is. Let it release with each exhale. This takes less than 2 minutes, and it directly interrupts the jaw-neck cortisol feedback loop before your day even begins. Many people notice an immediate feeling of spaciousness in their neck and shoulders that they didn't realize was missing. The mitochondrial signal. Number 5, cold air exposure. Walk. You don't need an ice bath. You don't need a cold plunge pool. You need to step outside in the morning wearing slightly less than you think you need, and walk for 3 to 5 minutes. That mild thermal challenge, cool air on skin that isn't heavily insulated by layers of clothing, sends a remarkable cascade of biological signals through your body. Brown adipose tissue, a metabolically active type of fat that generates heat by burning energy, gets activated by cold exposure. Unlike white fat, which stores energy, brown fat burns it. Activating it in the morning raises your metabolic rate and generates genuine warmth from within. Beyond brown fat, mild cold exposure triggers mitochondrial signaling throughout the body. Your cells receive a signal that efficiency matters, that energy production needs to be optimized, that the cellular machinery for generating vitality should be maintained and upregulated. This is one of the reasons cold-adapted populations historically had remarkable physical endurance and energy into old age. 3 to 5 minutes, lightly dressed, morning air. Your mitochondria will register the signal and respond accordingly over days and weeks of consistent practice. The distance. Gaze number 6. Eye horizon scanning. This one is about your nervous system more than your eyes. Though your eyes are the mechanism, modern life keeps visual focus at arm's length or closer almost constantly. Screens, books, phones, dashboards, indoor spaces. The muscles that control your eye focus, the ciliary muscles, spend most of their time in a contracted, near-focused state. And there is a direct neurological connection between sustained near focus and activation of the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system that keeps you in a state of vigilance and mild stress. Ancient humans spent large portions of their day scanning the horizon, looking far into the distance for food, for threats, for weather, for other people. That far gaze, the relaxed visual state of looking at things far away, is neurologically associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, the calm and recover state that allows genuine energy restoration and reduces cortisol output. Every morning, Go outside and let your eyes scan the farthest distance available to you. A tree line, a hillside, the open sky, rooftops across the street. Let your gaze be soft and unfocused rather than locked onto a specific target. Do this for 2 to 3 minutes. You are not doing an eye exercise. You are sending your nervous system one of the most ancient signals for safety and calm that exists in your biology. And the energy you recover when your nervous system stops being on guard is real and measurable. The cerebellum trainer, number 7, single leg balance with eyes closed. For most of human history, balance was not optional. Every step on uneven terrain, every hillside, every root-crossed forest path required constant active balance calibration from the nervous system. The cerebellum, the brain structure responsible for coordination and proprioception, was being trained every single day simply by the nature of the ground people walked on. Flat floors, paved paths, and predictable surfaces have largely removed that training stimulus. And when the cerebellum stops being challenged, balance declines. Not because the brain can't do it anymore, but because it hasn't been asked to in years. Stand on one foot, close your eyes. Notice what happens. For most people over 50, significant wobbling begins almost immediately. That wobble is information. It reveals how much of your balance has been outsourced to vision and how little is coming from the proprioceptive sensors in your feet, ankles, and joints that were designed to handle it. 30 seconds per side every morning is enough to begin recalibrating this system. The nervous system responds quickly to this kind of challenge. Within weeks, most people notice a dramatic reduction in wobbling, a measurable improvement in their stability on uneven ground, and a sense of physical confidence that they may not have felt in years. The spinal awakener, number 8, weighted carry on one side. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning, and it is one of the most overlooked interventions available for people who want to restore genuine functional strength after 50. Every time you carry an uneven load, a grocery bag in one hand, a bucket on one side, a pack on one shoulder, your spine and core have to work actively to prevent you from tilting toward the weight. The quadratus lumborum, the deep spinal stabilizers, the lateral core muscles, all fire continuously to keep you upright against the asymmetric load. This is exactly the kind of functional challenge these muscles evolved for, and exactly the challenge that modern symmetrical carrying has removed. The practice is simple. Take a moderately heavy bag, a backpack, a shopping bag, a light kettlebell, and carry it in one hand only while you walk for 2 to 3 minutes. Then switch sides. That's it. The weight doesn't need to be heavy. 8 to 12 pounds is sufficient to activate the spinal stabilizers meaningfully. Done daily, this practice reawakens the deep spinal muscles that are responsible for your posture, your power transfer during any physical movement, and a significant portion of your chronic lower back tension. Muscles that have been dormant for years from always carrying balanced loads begin to function again, and when they do, posture improves, pain decreases, and a quality of grounded physical strength returns that most people assumed they had simply lost. The ancestral rest position, number 9, deep squat hold with elbow knee press. Sitting in a chair is not a neutral position for the human body. It is a relatively recent invention in the timeline of human history, and it comes with a set of consequences that accumulate quietly over decades. Hip flexors shorten, glutes stop firing, ankle mobility decreases, the digestive system is compressed, the pelvic floor loses its natural resting tone. The deep squat is the actual neutral resting position of the human body. Populations that regularly rest in a deep squat, which includes much of the world outside of chair-dominant Western cultures, have dramatically lower rates of hip degeneration, knee problems, and lower back pain than populations that have replaced squatting entirely with sitting. The elbow knee press version makes the squat accessible even for people with tight hips or limited ankle mobility. Lower into your deepest comfortable squat and place your elbows on the inside of your knees, pressing outward gently. This creates a prying force that opens the hips from within the position itself. Hold for 30 to 60 seconds while breathing slowly and deeply through the nose. The hip capsule gets loaded through its full range. The ankles are gently mobilized under body weight. The intra-abdominal pressure from the squat position massages the digestive organs, and the whole system gets a reminder that this range of motion is still needed and should be maintained. The oxygen efficiency. Builder number 10, slow, nasal only, stair climbing. This practice is deceptively simple and quietly one of the most powerful things you can do for your cardiovascular efficiency and your energy levels throughout the day. Find a staircase, climb it slowly, breathe only through your nose the entire time. Do not open your mouth regardless of how much your body wants to. If you need to slow down to maintain nasal breathing, slow down. What this does is train your body's carbon dioxide tolerance. Most people don't realize that that the urge to breathe harder during exercise is triggered not by low oxygen, but by rising carbon dioxide levels in the blood. When you train your body to tolerate higher CO2 levels through nasal-only exertion, your breathing becomes more efficient at rest and during activity. More oxygen reaches your tissues per breath. Your cardiovascular system has to work less hard to meet the same energy demands. Ancient endurance traditions across cultures, from Himalayan mountain guides to African long-distance runners, consistently involved nasal breathing during sustained movement. The respiratory efficiency that results is a real and trainable physiological adaptation. Nasal stair climbing is one of the most accessible ways to begin building it. The breath you've never taken. Number 11. Rib expansion. Breathing. Place your hands on the sides of your rib cage, fingers pointing forward, thumbs pointing back. Now take a breath. Most people, when they pay attention, will notice that their ribcage barely moves sideways at all. The breath goes into the upper chest, the shoulders rise slightly, and the lateral expansion that should be happening simply doesn't occur. The ribcage is designed to expand in 3 dimensions with every breath: forward, backward, and sideways. The sideways expansion, driven by the external intercostal muscles between each rib, is where a large portion of your lung capacity lives. And for most modern adults, breathing has become so shallow and so vertical that this lateral capacity is almost completely unused. With your hands on your ribs, breathe in and actively try to push your hands outward to the sides. Feel the ribs expand laterally. Hold for 2 seconds at the top of the inhale, then exhale fully. Do 10 of these breaths. The immediate effect is a sense of spaciousness in the chest and a noticeable increase in the depth of the breath. The longer-term effect, practiced daily, is a genuine increase in usable lung capacity, better oxygenation of the blood, and a reduction in the shallow, chest-only breathing pattern that keeps the nervous system in a mild state of stress and the body in a mild state of oxygen debt. The peripheral clock. Reset number 12. Morning sunlight on bare skin. You may have heard that morning sunlight is important for your circadian rhythm. That light entering the eyes in the morning sets your internal clock for the day. That's true, but it's only half the story. Light, hitting your skin directly, not through glass, not filtered through clothing, also communicates with peripheral circadian clocks that exist in the cells of your skin and underlying tissues. These peripheral clocks regulate local tissue repair, hormone release timing, and cellular energy metabolism in ways that are independent of the brain's central clock. When morning sunlight reaches bare skin, it synchronizes these peripheral clocks with the central circadian rhythm. The result is a cascade of hormonal and metabolic signals that are timed correctly for the time of day. Cortisol peaks and falls at the right moments. Melatonin production is cued for the right time that evening. Cellular repair processes activate on schedule. 5 to 10 minutes of morning sunlight on bare arms and face before the UV index becomes strong enough to require protection gives your entire hormonal and metabolic system the timing signal it evolved to receive every single day. Most people living indoors under artificial light never receive this signal at all, and their energy rhythms reflect that deficit in ways they never connect to its actual cause. The grip of longevity. Number 13. Hanging towel. Grip. Holds. Grip strength is one of the strongest predictors of longevity that researchers have found. Stronger grip correlates with lower rates of cardiovascular disease, lower all-cause mortality, and better overall physical function well into old age. And the reason is not just that strong-gripped people happen to be healthier for other reasons. Grip strength reflects the overall integrity of the connective tissue system throughout the body. Ancient humans gripped constantly. Ropes, branches, tools, rough terrain, climbing holds. The tendons and muscles of the forearm and hand were under frequent, varied loading that maintained their strength and resilience as a baseline of ordinary life. Hanging a thick towel over a pull-up bar or a door frame and gripping it for as long as you can hold replicates the thick diameter grip that ropes and branches required. Thick diameter gripping activates the forearm extensors and the intrinsic hand muscles differently and more completely than thin bar gripping. Start with whatever hold time you can manage. 30 seconds is a good starting target. Build over weeks. The forearm tendons strengthen, grip endurance improves, and the biological markers that correlate with that strength begin to shift in a direction that research consistently associates with longer, healthier living. The neglected joint. Number 14. Slow neck rotation with breath sync. The cervical spine is one of the most ignored joints in most people's movement practice. People stretch their hamstrings, mobilize their hips, work on their shoulders. But the neck, the structure that carries your head, houses your spinal cord's upper segments, and directly influences your balance perception and nervous system tone gets almost no deliberate attention at all. And the consequences of that neglect are significant. Stiff cervical joints alter the sensory information being sent to your brain about where your body is in space. They compress the suboccipital muscles at the base of the skull, which can contribute to chronic headaches, fatigue, and a vague sense of mental fogginess. They restrict blood flow through the vertebral arteries that supply the brainstem and cerebellum. The practice here is slow and deliberate. Inhale through the nose. As you exhale, slowly rotate your head to one side as far as it will go without strain. Pause at the end range. Inhale there. Exhale as you return to center. Then rotate to the other side on the next exhale. 5 rotations per side, synchronized exactly with the breath. The breath synchronization is not incidental. The vagus nerve, which runs through the neck, responds to the combination of slow exhalation and gentle end-range neck rotation in a way that actively downregulates the stress response. This is not just a mobility exercise. It is a nervous system reset, delivered through the one joint that most people have never thought to deliberately move. The trigeminal stimulus. Number 15. Chew tough foods intentionally. Jaw strength and the deliberate mechanical act of chewing tough, fibrous food send a signal through the trigeminal nerve, the largest of the cranial nerves, and the one responsible for sensory and motor function across the face and jaw, that has direct effects on alertness, cognitive function, and nervous system arousal. Ancient humans chewed constantly. Dried meat, raw vegetables, nuts, roots, fibrous grains. The jaw was under mechanical load for large portions of every day. Modern processed food has removed almost all of that demand. Most of what adults eat today requires minimal chewing, and the trigeminal stimulation that sustained chewing provided. Stimulation that research has linked to improved alertness, better memory consolidation, and reduced stress. Reactivity has quietly disappeared from daily life. Every morning, chew something genuinely tough. Raw carrots, a handful of mixed nuts, dried fruit. Give your jaw real resistance to work against for 5 minutes. This is not about nutrition. It's about the neurological signal that tough chewing sends through the trigeminal nerve into the brainstem. Alertness increases, reaction time improves, and a very ancient circuit for wakefulness and vitality switches back on through what is possibly the simplest intervention on this entire list. The vascular reset. Number 16. 90-second cold finish to shower. You don't need a cold plunge. You don't need ice. You need to turn your shower to cold for the last 90 seconds before you step out. That brief cold exposure, after the body has been warmed by hot water, triggers a rapid vasoconstrictive response as the blood vessels near the skin surface contract sharply in response to the temperature drop. When you step out of the shower and warm back up, those vessels dilate again. This rapid cycle of constriction and dilation is essentially a workout for your vascular walls. The smooth muscle in the vessel walls contracts, relaxes, and over time becomes more elastic, more responsive, and more capable of the dynamic regulation that keeps blood pressure healthy and circulation efficient. The norepinephrine release, triggered by cold exposure, also produces a genuine mood and energy effect that most people notice immediately. Alertness increases, a sense of physical readiness follows, and the hormonal environment produced by that brief cold stimulus, elevated norepinephrine, activated brown fat, upregulated mitochondrial signaling, persists for hours into the morning. 90 seconds is enough. The discomfort is real, but brief, and the vascular and energetic payoff is disproportionately large relative to how little it costs. The knee investment. Number 17. Slow eccentric step downs. Stand on a step or a low platform. Lower yourself slowly on one leg until the other heel just touches the ground below. Then return to standing. That's the movement. But how slowly you lower yourself is everything. Aim for 5 to 8 seconds for the descent. That prolonged lowering places the quadriceps under sustained eccentric load, the most joint protective and tendon strengthening type of muscle contraction available. This is the loading pattern that physical therapists use specifically to rehabilitate knee pain, to prevent it, and to restore knee confidence in people who have been avoiding stairs, hills, and uneven ground because of knee discomfort. Most fitness approaches over 50 focus on what people can still do comfortably. Slow, eccentric step downs focus on the exact movement that the knee needs to stay healthy during the movements most people find uncomfortable. It's the difference between working around the problem and working directly at it. Start with a low step and use a wall for light. Balance support if needed. 5 repetitions per side every morning. The improvement in knee stability and confidence over 4 to 6 weeks of consistent practice is one of the most reliable outcomes on this list. The nitric oxide multiplier. Number 18. Nasal humming research has shown that nasal humming increases increases nitric oxide production in the sinuses by 10 to 15 times compared to quiet nasal breathing, 10 to 15 times from simply adding a hum to the exhale. The vibration created by humming oscillates the air in the sinus cavities in a way that dramatically amplifies the sinus's natural nitric oxide production. That concentrated nitric oxide then enters the lungs with each subsequent inhale, and from there reaches the bloodstream, where it signals blood vessel walls to relax and dilate, lowers vascular resistance, and improves oxygen delivery to every tissue in the body. Ancient chanting traditions across every major culture, from Vedic mantras to Gregorian chant to Buddhist toning practices, produced this biological effect as a natural consequence of the practice. The practitioners who developed these traditions didn't know the biochemistry, but they understood through direct experience that sustained vocal resonance produced a specific quality of physical calm and energetic clarity that silence alone did not. 5 minutes of nasal humming in the morning on any pitch that feels comfortable produces enough additional nitric oxide to have a measurable effect on vascular tone and energy for hours afterward. Combine it with the tongue-to-palate breathing position and the effect compounds further. The longevity mirror, number 19, floor to stand without hands. Every morning, lower yourself to a seated position on the floor and stand back up without using your hands, knees, or forearms for support. Do it once. Notice what it costs you. This is the sit-rise test, developed by Brazilian researcher Claudio Gil Araujo, who followed over 2,000 patients across more than a decade. The finding was striking. People who required multiple points of support to complete this movement were significantly more likely to die within the study period than those who could do it freely. Not slightly more likely, dramatically more likely, even after controlling for age and other health variables. The reason the test predicts health so powerfully is that it measures flexibility, strength, coordination, balance, and body composition simultaneously in one integrated movement. It is not testing one system. It is testing whether all your systems are working together, and systems that work together in this way tend to keep working together for a long time. Practice it every morning. Use as much support as you currently need. Work over weeks and months to need less. Treat your score on this test the way you might treat a blood pressure reading or a cholesterol number. It is health data that reflects your actual functional reserve. In real time, the complete system, number 20, the ancient reset stack. Everything on this list works individually, but 5 of these practices, when combined into a single morning sequence, create something greater than the sum of their parts. A complete biological reset that addresses your nervous system, your vascular system, your musculoskeletal system, and your metabolic system simultaneously. Here's the stack. Start with 2 minutes of reverse walking to light up the neural pathways and wake the cerebellum. Move into nasal stair climbing for 3 minutes to build CO2 tolerance and cardiovascular efficiency. Follow that with your isometric tendon holds, 45 seconds each on calves and quads to send the collagen synthesis signal to your connective tissue. Then, do your uneven carry walk for 2 minutes per side to reactivate the deep spinal stabilizers. End with 2 minutes of horizon gazing with soft eyes and slow nasal breathing to bring the nervous system into full parasympathetic recovery mode. The entire stack takes approximately 15 minutes, and what it delivers is a set of signals that your body evolved to receive every single morning for hundreds of thousands of years. Movement variety, thermal challenge, sustained load, visual distance, respiratory challenge, asymmetric carrying, balance demand. When these signals are present consistently, the body responds the way it was designed to respond. It maintains strength, it preserves energy, it keeps the tissue elastic and the joints mobile, and the nervous system calibrated. Stiffness and fatigue are not the natural state of a body over 50. They are the natural state of a body that has stopped receiving the signals it was built to live on. Give it the signals and watch what comes back. These 20 rituals are not trends. They are not biohacks. They are practices that kept human bodies strong and vital for thousands of years before modern medicine existed, before gyms existed, before supplements existed, before anyone had to think deliberately about staying mobile because life itself provided all the inputs the body needed. Modern life has removed those inputs. These practices put them back, one morning at a time. If this video gave you something you'll actually use, hit that like button because it helps this reach other people who are looking for exactly this. Drop a comment below and tell me which ritual you're starting with tomorrow, and subscribe and ring the bell because every week we bring you more of this. Ancient knowledge, modern lives, practical results. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.